What is up, guys? Welcome to the Unfazed Fact Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Gym Leader Challenge. And just around the corner, we have Phantasmal Flames coming out, I believe, November 4th, 22nd. I think 22nd, 23rd, 24th, that weekend. It's going to be cool. It's going to be bringing some fun trainers to be had, and I'm excited to get into it. Are you excited, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, another set review, dude. It feels like only yesterday we were doing a set review, and I left off Marshadow. Josh, just feels like only yesterday that happened. So here we are, another set review. Let's get them all this time.
I felt like it was this morning when we did the last set review. It just goes by that quick now.
Dude, isn't it? I mean, this one just feels really soon. I don't know what it is, but like, dude, you said it. You felt like this morning. It just felt like yesterday. I haven't even had a chance to play all of the Mega Evolution cards yet that we've talked about, let alone, even think about the next set. But you know what? They're here. We better talk about them.
Yep. I think we got some of the information off of Poke Beach talking about, it's going to be part of the Infernal X. Is it Infernal X set, the Japanese set? And then the two new decks coming out are going to be a part making up our Phantasmal Flames set. It's kind of like Obsidian Flames in a way where it's felt big, small, and not a whole lot. I think there's more in this than there were Obsidian Flames to a point. But it's just a Charizard set.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this, Jeff. The Mega Charizard. Okay, for one, I don't like Mega Charizard X that much. I'm a more fan of Mega Charizard Y. More so, just because I like the pointiness of him, and he's still orange and kind of looks cool. Yeah. But Mega Charizard X, has this really nice sheen black coloring, some blue, and then like these blue flames that come out of his mouth. Really cool to a point. I like the other one better. But there's this new card that comes out in the Ultra Premium Collection, and I'm actually excited to get it. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get it because it's so hard to get Pokemon cards right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time I walked into a store, whether that was an LGS or my local Target, and actually saw Pokemon cards hanging up readily available to buy. So thank goodness for buying singles. That's all I got to say, or else I would not have any of the new cards. But yeah, definitely feels like you got to go out of your way if you want to get them. And I'm just not that person. So, hey, more power to you guys if you are.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out a way. Luckily, it comes out as a promo in the box. So they'll be more plentiful, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, you can always get them if you just use the best card in Pokemon, the credit card.
No, don't do that. Don't use the credit card. It's OP. It comes back to bite you. You got to play the game right? You got to use your resources accordingly. Just like in GLC, you have a finite amount of resources. What if you used your credit card, to get a few prizes out, but then by the end, you have to pay those prizes in, and you don't have them anymore.
That's late game Jeff issue. All right, we're in the mid game. All right, we're in the mid game. It's not banned yet. I'm going to keep playing my credit card.
Well, I haven't really had to. I haven't got to enjoy the Mega Evolution set that much myself because I've been so busy doing just live things. I actually made this basket right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but look at this basket I made, guys.
Ooh, I'll switch to our face cam so that people can see it better. Ooh,
oh yeah,
I'm impressed. Yeah, Josh, dude, your weaving abilities are pretty impressive.
I made this right here.
For those of you at home that are listening and can't really see right now, this basket might be top tier, in my opinion. I mean, like top 5 baskets I've ever seen in my life. I would tell you the colors, but I am colorblind, so we'll leave it to Josh to describe those.
We got some blue, orange, yellow, green in there. A little bit of purple.
Yeah, great. I believe you.
They've faded a lot. I believe you. But yeah, I haven't got to enjoy Phantasmal Flames as much. I mean, Mega Evolutions as much as I want, Jeff. But I know that you've kind of been able to get a few games in with a few cards. How's it been going for you?
Dude, this might be like the best, the best that GLC has felt in a long time. Fighting feels a little oppressive. I'm not gonna lie. It feels good. Like if you're a fighting enjoyer, like enjoy your time in the limelight. Like I don't want to like make like rain on anyone's parade. Fighting's just so good right now. I had a game right before I got in here, a webcam match with my boy Umbral, and dude, that deck is good. I mean, it can attack you from so many different ways. You know, you've got the Ting Lu coming in. I'm a setup deck, so I'm like, I got to stagger my benching. And then, of course, you know, you just always have to worry about an Okidogi. And then, you know, the Soul Rock or whichever one does 70 for one energy is a decent attacker. You've got Lucario. I mean, the deck is just so good. So, you know, that game was actually really fun and really enjoyable. It didn't really feel like, you know, playing against like Archeops in the past where they like set up an unbeatable board and you're just cooked. There was a lot of decisions on my side of the board. So I think as far as like where gameplay is right now, like you've got a lot of really powerful decks, and if you're playing a deck that's like similar power level, it's some of the best gameplay I've had in a long time. But so many decks are falling off, Josh, and I know you and I love Grass Spread, which we might get to talk about a little bit today, but just like those decks just keep falling further down the totem pole, and it feels like a lot of other decks are just getting elevated. And you know, the power gap has increased a whole bunch, but the gameplay's still good. So I'm really enjoying my Gym Leader Challenge. Forest to Vitality is amazing, by the way. I'm loving my grass deck. So woo, kudos to that.
Jeff, you said that Grass Spread never was. So how could it have died off if it never was?
You know, you're right. You're right. In our build up to this, we were talking about Grass Spread not ever really being a real deck. But you know what? We tried.
That hurt me.
Did it? I saw the tear in your eye, but I thought those were tears of joy. Like you could finally let it go.
Yeah, I'm not. Hey, so here's the thing. Mega Evolutions brought some meta warping cards, and we're going to see what Phantasmal Flames is bringing to us. Are they going to be meta warping, or are they not going to be meta warping? Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, before we dive into it, I do think that there will be some cards that are like definitely played, like really, really, really played cards. But I don't think it will have the impact that Mega Evolution did and is still having. I mean, Mega Evolution was like, you know, you think back of like sets that like have defined Gym Leader Challenge, and you think about the set that had, you know, the TMs in it. What was that? Was that Paradox Rift? I think back to Paradox Rift. You know, that whole block that like had like Arvin in it, like that felt like a game changing moment. You know, and then we had, you know, Raging Bolt in the, you know, in the next sets, all those ancient cards popping up. That felt like the kind of the next defining moment that we've had. And then since Raging Bolt, now we had Mega Evolution, and I do think that Mega Evolution is going to continue to kind of define our Gym Leader Challenge gameplay for the next couple of months and beyond this set. But there's going to be some good cards in this set. Phantasmal Flames got some really nice ones to offer. It's got some duds, though. You know, it's got some duds.
It's got some fun duds.
Yeah, we call those
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to get into some spuds here in a little bit. And if you guys are just as excited as us, go ahead and leave a like and a comment down. What are you excited for most in Phantasmal Flames? Because I'll let you know that I'm excited for a few things that Grass and Dark are going to get.
Oh, yeah, Dark finally getting something good. And you know what the best part about the set is, Josh? A little bit of a spoiler for you guys. Not a lot of water or psychic or colorless to talk about.
Yes. No water. Well, maybe a little water through a trainer that I'm excited to get into, too.
I feel like we could have maybe talked about there's like a Suicune on here that we could have maybe talked about, but like it's just a worse version of some other cards. So
yeah, I wasn't too you know, impressed by some of the water stuff, and I've got some doozies on here that we're going to talk about that might not be the best, but definitely Jeff called them fringe. Yeah, I'm not going to let another Marshadow slip through these fingers. All right, I had it in my phone ready to talk about, but I was like, it probably won't be that great.
I'm gonna take the fall for that one. I left Marshadow off, everyone. That was on me. All right. I got a couple things to apologize. First off, I'm sorry about Marshadow. I didn't believe in your Marshadow. Second off, we didn't have an answer about why the grass, the mill deck, the eggs mill deck, didn't play double turbo energy. Well, we got the answer. Luna, the pilot of that deck, shot us over a response in our comments section. We also got one from Chris Hill, who won the last FGG event. And they both were like, hey, you don't need to play double turbo energy if you have Parallel City. You can just play Parallel City facing yourself for the damage reduction and limit your opponent's bench. And if you're limiting your damage by 20, you'll never do any of your damage with Execute's attack. Or Executor's attack. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And it can be, obviously reused through like Lusamine. So like there's that possibility. So it just seemed like it was a really cool deck decision on their part. So that's our answer for why the egg mill deck was not playing double turbo.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool explanation there.
Yeah, love it. But now we get to talk new cards though, Josh. Phantasmal Flames.
Yes. Phantasmal Flames, and we have coming up, we got new Raging Bolt. Ain't that right, Jeff?
Oh.
Just as good.
I mean, if you like squint your eyes, kinda.
Squint your eyes and turn to the side. We got Genesect. It's a basic Pokemon. It has 120 HP, and it has the main attack that we're going to be looking at today is going to be Bug Cannon for 1 grass. It says choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 20 damage to it for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. Now, when kind of comparing side by side, Raging Bolt does 30 damage per energy attached to that Pokemon, and Thunderburst Storm starts off with a Lightning and a Fighting. Now, in Dragon, you have access to a DDE very early and quick into the game, which covers those 2 energy costs, so you can get 60 damage on the board really quick. And a lot of decks are still playing. You'll see people still playing 60 HP basic, so you can get some of that early knockout damage off very quickly, as well as, sometimes paired with a Lost City, you lose that basic and you're scrambling to catch up the entire game. Genesect, on the other hand, Jeff mentioned earlier, you got to have 2 stage 2 Pokemon to make it really good. That being your what is it? Wild Growth, Meganium now, as well as probably what's it? The
Rillaboom.
Rillaboom. Yeah, Rillaboom. Get 2 out and put straight onto a Pokemon of your choice. And this Pokemon would be Genesect, and you'd have 4 energy right there, and you're only doing what? Oh man, Matt, this gives me right.
4 energy.
Oh my god.
20 for each of them. 80.
60, 16, 100. 116? Oh, no, 160. Am I right? Or am I an idiot right now?
I think so, dude. You touched 2 energy.
Here.
2 energy
do it with me.
40.
Do it with me. Do it with me right now. 2, 4, 6, 8.
80.
That's 4 energy. 80 if you have 4 energy on there. Okay. I was thinking, okay, here it is, guys. The math, I was thinking with 4 energy on there physically and then doubled. That's where I was at.
Yeah.
That's where I was at, guys. I'm sorry. This is too early in the podcast to be making mistakes like this, right?
Dude, you just want this card to be so good. That's all. You're just hoping.
I do. I have high hopes for it. But at the same time, like I was like, ooh, Grass Spread kind of has a little something. And the more I look at it, I'm like, you don't have the resources to just, and you don't have the energy to be able to get it out super quickly. So, Genesect may not be as good as I want it to be, but I still see it as part, maybe a small tech here and there from time to time that you may see. It's not as good as Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt has better things, but what do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that makes Raging Bolt so good, right, is the fact that it can just be fired off turn 1 and turn 2, right? Sure, 60 is like a reasonable rate. We're all trying to play our 70 HP basics, so Raging Bolt might miss a KO or 2 in the early game. And then 90 is another good number. So this 1 extra energy on Raging Bolt is good. It just like Raging Bolt doesn't require a lot. And you mentioned that. It doesn't require a ton of resources. And so Raging Bolt, good card, has access to DDE, good in the early game. Genesect is just like like it's not doing anything really for you early, you know? At least when you look at like some of the other options that grass has in that basic playable Pokemon spot, you know, Zarude has a decent setup attack, maybe one of the best setup attacks on a kind of roll compressed attacker that you have, letting you get 3 Pokemon on the first turn or just 1 on any other subsequent turn. And then, of course, you just have Tapu Bulu in that same vein that just does ridiculous damage for potentially 2 energy. So Genesect is just going to be maybe like an option in the mid to late game, and then you still need your 2 stage 2s like you mentioned to make it good. But if you have your 2 stage 2s set up right, like it can be one of those like go around sort of Pokemon, right? Like you can start sniping your opponent's key support Pokemon, kind of putting them behind the curve, and then you can come in and maybe sleep with one of your big, bulky grass dudes like grass likes to do. So is there a place for Genesect, Joss? I see it. I just don't think in like the most competitive lists you're going to find a really cool spot because, again, it's just not a good card on its own. It just needs so much to happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hey, by the way, before we get any further, you can edit out earlier to make me look a little smarter for the actual pod.
Dang, I don't really do a lot of editing anymore. I was going to leave that whole you muted. I mean, so far we've had you mute yourself and we've had you miss math. So, and remember, you forgot about Marshadow.
I did remember. Hey, I did correct math for a different problem in my head.
Joshua over here finger counting on national TV. What we'll call this.
Next we have actually something that's kind of cool. We got Gloom stage 1, unfortunately, and it's kind of a weaker stage 1 with 70 HP. That makes it, you know, it's basically a basic at this point. But I thought it would be cool to note bringing up the drooling attack for 1 does 20 damage to each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponents. We don't like getting hit ourselves, especially in a grass spread deck because we already got low HP to begin with. So the more I look at it, the more I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I thought it was just something cool to note. You know, I like grass spread and I just wanted to have spready attacks.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what grass is missing. It's kind of like a cheap, efficient, good spreader, right? Like the Celebi has kind of been the backbone of these decks, but it only does 1 damage counter, right? So even just have something that for 1 energy does twice as much, that might be reasonable enough. But, you know, since we've lost double energies, you know, the Decidueye's tracking shot has gotten a lot worse, you know? So it's just really hard. Josh and I love grass spread so much. It's like that X that we just can't forget, even though it's best for us, you know? So
that's one way to put it. Yeah.
I know. It just keeps coming back up. I feel like we talk about it on every episode. It's just like our biggest Gym Leader Challenge regret. It's like, that's the one that got away. But, you know, it's just not working out. And this Gloom is maybe the best we got. I mean, even the Hisuian Lilligant, which you and I both kind of like, the one that did, you know, 20 and switch to the bench, which you could play with like dolls and some other sort of things, you know, required double colorless energy to attack. And so that card's kind of gone by the side. So maybe this Gloom is reasonable. Nothing in the deck is surviving any sort of comeback attack. And you're not really applying any pressure whatsoever. So, like, everything's going to get knocked out. So the 20 damage to your own bench doesn't matter. But I don't know how you're winning.
Yeah, it kind of stinks. And, you know, whenever the double colorless energies, like the double energies got banned, this was the deck that I was thinking of. I was like, oh, man, this is going to hit my I don't want to say fun deck because I believe in it so much. I think it's the deck at the time. But yeah, it was unfortunate for that to happen.
I thought it was fortunate, but you know what? Another day.
Unfortunate. I was like, hey, just let me play in my grass.
Just ban it for the good decks. Just ban it for the good decks.
Exactly. Tier 2 and below can use it.
It was fun. But believe it or not, that was actually a discussion that came on. People were like, we just need to ban the double energies from being used in the colorless decks. It's fine everywhere else. Like, how convoluted can you get with the rules?
Man, I know. And I say that jokingly, but yeah, that it's okay that they got banned. It just sucks.
Who needs doubles when you have triples, Josh?
Exactly. And, Ignition Energy really ignites low kicks. The new card coming out in Phantasmal Flames. We've got 120 HP stage 1. We got the cutoff attack for 30, but that's not it. For 3 colorless energy, we got Jump Shot, and that's going to be 150 damage, which is a pretty good number, actually. And you shuffle this Pokemon, all card attached to it, into your deck. So Ignition Energy with this card right here, it lets you play it with evolution Pokemon, but usually at the end of your turn you have to discard it. Well, in this case, Low Kicks shuffles all the cards back in, so you don't have to discard it, and it basically recycles itself back into the deck. If you had a muscle band or a tool specifically on this Low Kicks, that'll also go back into the deck, which makes it really kind of cool in that sense. So you can kind of have some fun with it. And then with Force Vitality, you can just get it going in the same turn that you put that basic out, if you can, get the resources to be able to use it. Resources such as, Ball Guy search cards. You have, what else do we have, Jeff? We got
Grotto and Grovyle to search at.
Yeah, we got Grotto and Grovyle. But there's a specific card that I'm thinking of that I can't think, and you're probably going to bring it up. I'm just going to move it on.
Turfield? The Turfield. I mean, there's so many different cards you can grab.
No, Beautifly. We talked about Beautify.
Yeah, I was about to get to the Beautify loop. Just imagine, just getting down to like the last 3 cards in your deck, and then just like drawing into them with Beautifly, popping them back down, shuffling them back in your deck. Like, it's kind of funny to think that you could just potentially loop this kind of in the end game over and over and over again. Maybe even get some oh gosh, what's the card? The Wo-Chien action, right? Yeah, if you have 3 cards in your deck, do all the Wo-Chien looking things. So it's kind of funny, like all the things you could do with this. Maybe combine it with some of those dolls that don't give up prizes. You have that Celebi we just talked about that you can, flip a coin and it can get back into your deck. You could maybe push up the Shiftry that changes all supporters into draw 3. So, shuffle this back into your deck, promote that Shiftry, and all of a sudden, like, things get kind of funny with what you're doing. So it definitely seems like a fun idea with this Lockix. But obviously, it's a lot of hoops to jump through to do 150 damage continuously when you could just, like, I don't know, attach an energy to like Lucario after your Pokemon gets knocked out. Like, there are other things you could be doing, but if you're trying to do the Lockix thing, like, I support you 150%.
You mentioned, putting fighting energy on Lucario. Well, grass can't do that, You can't just throw Lucario into the grass deck.
You're right. Grass doesn't get cheap efficient attackers. It gets Genesect, it gets Lockix.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot, and whenever it is, it still requires two energy a lot of the time.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure there are, so not to say there isn't.
I mean, there's a Lockix that, like, on evolution does like 30 plus 90 if it evolved in the same turn. Like, that's pretty good and efficient, but it's like a one-time use. It's like Misty Starmie, right? You have to like pair it with like Scoop Up Net. So there are cheap efficient attackers. There's the Jump Pluff that can do 60 twice.
Dipplin.
They all just require something like a bunch else. They're not just like Lucario. They're not just like Okie Dokie, right? It's like
there's
one man.
Not really basics. Yeah. Usually it's stage 2, or you have to have a stadium in play, or you have to have some type of thing going on. But that I think that concludes grass for us. Going into fire though, we got some kind of cool things in fire. Darmanitan, I don't think this is the best Darmanitan, but it's kind of cool. Has a 150 HP stage 1, so it's not a stage 2. So, but again, like fire requires a whole lot of different. If you're playing this Rain Dance Embor, you might be playing the Charizard with it, or vice versa. So you can get all this energy out. Charizard doubling your energy, Embor, basically letting you from hand attach as many fire energy as you want. In this sense, we got Blaze Ball, similar to the Blaze Ball that is on the Entei. But Blaze Ball does 40 plus 40 damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon, which can help. You can have 2 energy with a Charizard out there attached to this Darmanitan, and you're doing a decent amount of damage.
200.
But, yeah. But, you know, you have to have a stage 2 Charizard out. Or, in the other sense, you have to have a stage 2 Emboar out to get all that other energy out. So, you know, it's not, I don't think it's the best, again, because it just requires so much. And Fire, you know, has been having a problem for so long of just requiring high energy output to get things going.
Yeah, Fire is the type of endless synergies that require so many things to make them all work together, right? So, like, this Darmanitan, you said it needs so much Charizard, Emboar. You probably got Macargo on the bench. Now you need Darmanitan evolved. You need to find the energy. You need to have it attached. You need to get this to the active. I mean, there's just like a lot of things, and you're like, a lot of that you can, kind of get through. But like, your opponent is doing stuff too, right? Not all of this is just playing the vacuum. So on paper, it seems fine. And then all of a sudden you start playing Fire, and you just realize that, like, you're having to play this card to go with this card and that card to go with this card. And you've got no room for all the good cards. You just have to play the synergies. And that's where Fire falls short. And that's where this Darmanitan just falls a little short, in my opinion. But again, I think Fire, Rain Dance, whatever we need to call it at some point, it's going to have its day. It's just not with Phantasmal Flames.
Yeah, it'll have a card eventually that comes out for it. Sometimes all it does is take one card to allow everything to work together. You know, you saw Fighting get Okidogi at one point, and it bumped it up. And then we saw it get Marshadow, and then it just won one of the biggest GLC official tournaments. And
you didn't even mention the Soul Rock and Lunatone.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Golly. The Soul Rock and Lunatone, yeah. All right.
And by the way, that was 4 cards. That wasn't just 1 card. That was 4 cards.
Hey, I know.
A whole deck had to happen.
Called me on that one. All right, we got Reshiram next. Should have used a better example. It was like that one time you used an example to put damage counters on an unfazed fat Snorlax.
Oh, dang, man. Good times. Good times, those.
That's super good times. I love it. You know, on the fly talking sometimes is really good, Reshiram, basic, awesome. Does 240 damage, awesome. But again, like we've been talking about, requires so much. You have to have 4 energy on this guy, right? This guy takes out Wailord in one hit, takes out Okidogi one hit, is your wall breaker for some of your weak, decks that you're weak against. But again, you need so much. In this case, you need 4 energy attached. That's 4 turns, unless you got some other cards to, again, like we have so many synergies in Fire to be able to get that to happen. But it's just so inconsistent because you have to play so much. You're playing all the good cards that should work, like you said, but they just don't make it efficient. It's just an unsolvable mystery sometimes with Fire. Like, this Wailord also requires the same amount of energy, does pretty much the same amount of damage to a point with it as this Reshiram, but it's so much easier to do so. And that's just because water is just so much more efficient with all of its different cards working together besides this Reshiram. And this Reshiram would require, an Emboar to get all those out, stage 2. But possibly you might also need the Charizard to bump it up. But not only that, whenever you use this attack, it also does 60 damage to itself. So it's not even going to have a chance to possibly tank a hit coming back because it's going to now be at 70 damage. But Fire just needs something good. I want to build a Fire deck. I just don't think it's worth it right now.
Yeah. Fire definitely feels F tier, right? Like, it feels down at the bottom. But I do think this Reshiram is a solution to a problem that Fire has had, and is maybe a piece that will fit into some lists that we're going to see start popping up. And the reason why we included the newer Wailord from Junior together and the Okidogi here is like those are kind of like the two big points in Gym Meter Challenge that you have to hit. 240 and 230 is kind of like your big top HP number, and this Reshiram solves that issue. It hits 240. So a lot of different ways you can go about getting that 4 energy attached. We mentioned the Charizard from Pokemon Go that doubles up fire energy. You've got the Emboar, having one of those in a way to access energy, or maybe even just having the Charizard and Welder can get you there. So I think that this Reshiram is going to kind of fit into list. I would, if you're playing Charizard or you're playing Emboar, 100% feel like you have to play the Reshiram. Obviously, like a Swamp Fire list, like a Skeledirge list, is maybe going to be a little bit different because they don't have quite the same energy acceleration that those traditional, Charizard Emboar lists do. But I do think Reshiram is a really, really good upgrade for those basics. For the longest time, we were like, what the best fire basic is? The Revenge Chi-Yu. It did 50 plus 90. All right. And that was good enough sometimes. Well, I think Reshiram has a case to be the best fire attacking basic, that many have tried to claim through the years, whether that's the Volcanion that accelerates energy, or we've had the Entei with the Blaze Ball attack that Josh mentioned earlier. And of course, even more recently, the banana Pokemon. What's the banana hat Pokemon called? Gouging Fire. Fire that did 100 plus 70 if your opponent had like 4 prizes or something like that. So I think Reshiram is going to be a nice piece. So I like it. I think it's going to elevate Fire, but like if Fire was down at the dirt, it has been raised an anthill. It's still got a long way to go to be what many would consider a good deck.
Yeah, I do agree. Speaking of Fire making moles out of anthills, I guess, making mounds out of anthills, we got this beautiful Silverledge here. Again, requiring a ton of energy. Stage 1, 140 HP, so it does have that slightly out of range HP. But with this attack, requires 1 energy attached. Does 220, which sounds awesome. But then you read what you have to do, and that's discard 4 basic energy cards from your hand. And if you can't, the attack does absolutely nothing. So we have another trainer card we're going to talk about later that kind of gives us access to lots of cards, lots of basic fire energy. But you have Fisherman right here, gets the exact amount that you need. Hopefully you already have one attached if you choose to play the Silverledge. And then you have a giant Hearth to also get some energy out of the deck. But I mean, Jeff, again, something that requires getting a bunch of resources and immediately per se burning it away.
Yeah. And again, fire is the consummate type of synergies, but it's also like the type of anti-synergy, right? Like you've got, I think we've talked about this before, so someone stop me if I have. But
we definitely have.
Obviously, Welder from the hand, Blacksmith from the discard pile, Silverledge wanting you to discard energy, others wanting you to have energy attached. Like, where does this card fit in a fire list, and why is it a promo? And who arbitrarily decided that discarding 4 basic energy was the right call? And why is it only 220 instead of the number we all need it to be, which is 240? Like, it's just like it misses on every level, and it's a cool card. I really like the art. I really like the angle that is being depicted. The slashing marks. It's got the makings of a card that I wish could be played. Make Infernal Slash a snipe attack for 1 energy and make it do like a Starmie attack, where like for each energy you discard from it, all of a sudden like maybe a much better playable card. But like 220 to 1 target that's in the active while you basically have to discard your entire hand just feels bad, chat.
How about something like if it were like Kyogre's 180 snipe and put the energy back into your hand?
Yeah, so there actually is I think this card, this Cellar Ledge, or one of them that actually had like a decent attack like
Oh,
that.
yes, it did. It
Yeah.
did. It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The issue was that it was discard. Plus you had to get a stage 1, right? Kyogre's
Yeah.
music, and it was a stage 1. I tried that card, wanted to love it. It was not it. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that needs to happen for a card to be playable, and they've kind of missed the mark on a couple of these Sever Ledge, and I don't know what the other is. It the other version of this
Armarouge.
Armarouge. I like the Armarouge that switches energy around. There's just not really a lot to do in Gym Leader Challenge with it.
Yeah. Speaking of fire, we got one more. Got a cute little Mander here, little Char. Maybe not optimal basic, but the ability is interesting. It's just one of those that this Pokemon has no energy attached to it. It has 0 retreat cost, which kind of gives you free retreat. Kind of cool, but not searchable through Buddy Poffin, which makes it really bad. But I mean, I think that's what it's got going against it. But that ability's not bad, Every now and then, if you possibly open with it, gives you free retreat from the active, but you might not be in the best spot to begin with if that were the case. But just thought I'd throw it in there.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I need it to have 70 HP and to not have an ability. I really like greens in my fire lists because, like, having a flexible, card like greens to help me get set up in spots is kind of great. So that's kind of what I'm missing from it. I'm going to continue to play the Collect Charmander. I think there's another pretty good Charmander too that I would probably play over it before I did this one. But really, it feels like we're really kind of construed to just playing 70 HP basics, whether it's because of Buddy Poffin or whether it's because we're all scared of Raging Bolt. It feels like whatever the case is, 70 HP basic is the way.
It's both.
I'm so scared of Raging Bolt.
Then we got Lightning. We got Palmont, another 140 HP, and it has the Voltage Fist not ability, attack for 2 lightning, hits 130. You may do 60 damage to yourself, and if you do, you can essentially paralyze your opponent's active. And we've seen Articuno have a little bit of success with its Wild Freeze attack, doing 70 and doing the damage to itself and paralyzing the active Pokemon. So in a pinch, helpful. But are you going to play this as a stage 2 stall deck, Jeff? I don't think so.
No, and I include it because paralyzing is one of the coolest things that you can do in Pokemon in general. It's the best status condition by far, and this like unconditional paralyze is kind of not heard of on an attack, right? This Articuno is kind of one of the few and far between that I would consider playable. So just throwing this Palmon out there for some creativity purposes. Shock Lock is a deck that's fallen off. Not that I ever really see this deck really finding its way into a Shock Lock deck, but just having the option to like paralyze is great. Kind of one of the things working against it is like 130 is actually kind of a bit of damage. You might be knocking out stuff too much. So exactly. That might actually be the biggest downside for this Palmot.
It's too good, Jeff. It's way too good.
It's so good it's bad. Wait.
So good it's bad. Hey, Psychic, Jeff, got another good Psychic card, actually.
What a surprise.
I think we got Zacian, 130 HP basic. For one, I just want to say, and we kind of talked about this before, Jeff, about how amazing this card looks. It looks really good. The art in and of itself, the angles like you mentioned earlier, and just it feels immersive almost, like Zacian is there with you and he's about to slash you up.
Oh yeah, he's looking at you too. He's that eye is right on you.
It's really quite cool.
I feel seen, Zacian. I feel seen.
I feel seen and heard. Well, hear this. We got Limit Break. 1 Psychic, 1 Colorless. If your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, this attack does 90 more damage. So you're doing 140 damage for possibly 1 energy, depending on if you have a Dimension Valley out. But 2 energy for that is pretty good. We have the Mewtwo, kind of a same-ish attack, but you're doing 180 damage for 2 Psychic, 1 Colorless. It's kind of cool to see the 2 very similar attacks. Zacian might just be more usable, has the same attack attack usage as Iron Boulder. And Iron Boulder, is really good early game. It's so good, actually. It's been surprising me how good Iron Boulder has been for the Psychic deck because it's such a low profile deck and such a low profile attacker, such as Zacian with his 2 energy. Has 140 HP, which is just out of range for some of those weird, awkward attacks at 130 or below. But it does 170 damage if you and your opponent have the same hand size. And with the amount of different hand manipulations available to Psychic, it's so much easier to hit that 170. So you can do as much as you want Iron Boulder in the beginning of the game, so early game, and then mid to late, you can just start cleaning up or hitting other support Pokemon with your Zacian if Iron Boulder is down for the count. Mewtwo is also a great wall breaker to still include. I just think that Zacian is going to be also just a really good card as well.
Yeah, I think that, one of the most important things that you said, Josh, was that, having a similar cost to Iron Boulder here means that like a card like Recycle Energy just gets infinitely better, right? All of a sudden, Iron Boulder goes down, Recycle Energy pops back into your head. You can promote Zacian and get right back into it, potentially doing, 140, which is, a pretty good number when you think about things. Obviously, probably want to play Muscle Band in that list because 160 is such an important number in Gym Leader Challenge. Can you play Zacian and Mewtwo in the same deck? Potentially. I think having 2 of these 3 or fewer prize cards remaining would probably be just a little too much, right? You get to that late game, 2 cards that are only good for half the game is probably not where you want to be. So, do you think that the 180 is going to matter more than Zacian's Limit Break? I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. I just don't really know which card to play at this moment in time. And I think it really just depends maybe on what type of list you're going for. I'd be interested. I wish we had been on again this week. I wish we had been on every week, if I'm going to be honest. Not that I don't like you, Josh, but just really enjoy it.
It took me the second time you saying that to understand what you're saying. I was like, you wish we were on the making another pod this week, been on, but then,
no. Ben Morse. Ben Morse. Hashtag no remorse. But, and to see what he would think about this slipping into his Garbodor list, that the list that all those FGG guys worked on together, is this Zacian something they're considering just because, 1 less energy than Mewtwo means that you don't necessarily have to go through hoops and whistles to get your, Malamar or Xatu back online with the shopping center and bouncing the tool off of the Garbodor that's shutting off all the abilities. So I don't know. It's just something kind of cool to look at, and I'll be interested to see what people do with Zacian versus Mewtwo in their lists. And of course, I'll be doing my own testing too if I ever get through all these Mega Evolution cards. Ugh.
Hey, you'll get there. I promise.
2 years later.
We got more basics, however. I think this might be kind of a more optimal basic depending on how you look at it. There are better ones where there are other ones where it's a single energy and you can put your opponent to sleep or confuse. But this one right here is 70 HP, kind of puts it into that optimal range, which we had mentioned earlier. And it has a minor grudge attack, which if you want to attack for damage on a basic, I think 1 for 20 or 1 for 30 is always the best that you're going to get on a tiny basic like this. So I'm not too upset about that. And, searchable from Buddy Buddy Poffin, and also serves as your way to get to Mismagius. So if you plan on playing Mismagius, I believe that maybe you should think about using this Misdreavus as your optimal basic.
Yeah. And I think, Mismagius has seen better days, right? I remember, there wasn't a week where I wouldn't see a list popping up that was playing Eerie Voice, and the Spiteful Magic Mismagius. And even before, this Miss Magus with the mysterious message, the draw up to 7 was really cool before people started playing Cleffa, which kind of took that similar role. So, maybe Mischievous will see kind of a resurgence, but yeah, this is definitely a good card. And I really like the art. Again, I feel like if there's one thing we can say about Phantasmal Flames is I've really enjoyed the art so far.
Yeah, very good art. After that, we kind of got some spread for Colorless. I know that, Jeff, you are a very big into Colorless spread. Maybe not so much anymore after some of the bannings and different things like that. But we got Ambipom, stage 1. And for 3 energy, you got to discard 2 from this Pokemon. But the attack does 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, which is kind of helpful. I think it's cool that you have the option to split it and as well as, choose any of your opponent's Pokemon.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. Like when you think about the potential, like obviously the ceiling with Ambipom is, turn 2, you evolve, go ignition or triple acceleration energy onto it, right? Which are going to get discarded anyway. And maybe you could snipe 2 evolving basics, ASAP, which is, again, that's the best you could do. And at any point in the game, it could just be a kind of a cleaner upper, help you take a multi-prize turn. So there's some things to like with Ambipom, and obviously you're probably going to play it in a deck where like triple energies are going to be pretty good. Obviously, when you look at like what Colorless spread has to offer, it all runs through the Spinda, which is pretty good, 10 damage, but it also confuses the active. And then what a lot of people were playing previously in their Colorless spread list was this Iron Juggles. And so the Ambipom gives me similar vibes, but like maybe more useful. It's kind of weird. They're like on like the same level as far as like power level goes, but like one of them needs a little bit of help, and that's where Iron Juggles needs the Pokemon to already have damage counters on them, but you get to put 50 on 3, and Ambipom is just straight up 60 on 2 without any preconditions. Both of the attacks costing 3 energy. So it's kind of like, one's a basic, one's a stage 1, one needs a condition, one doesn't. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want, but only Ambipom works with ignition and reversal, giving the triples. And so I think that's where, if I was going to maybe tilt my hat towards one of them, I would go Ambipom, even though I do like Iron Juggles as a card.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Next up, we got Flygon. I'm going to let Jeff kind of talk about this a little bit because I don't see it as much as he might.
Well, I can't remember. Like this is probably whenever the ancient cards got spoiled. I remember just because like I used to be such a big fighting player, everyone would hit me up and be like, "Man, Fighting Mill. Have you thought about Fighting Mill?" I was playing the other Great Tusk in a lot of my lists, and people were just commenting like, "Yo, have you looked at this card in Fighting Mill?" And it just wasn't happening because like Fighting had nothing. Like it didn't have any draw, it didn't have any consistency. So like trying to like stall out your opponent and like assemble a handful of cards while trying to mill out your opponent was just, the most difficult thing on the planet. So now we've got some better fighting tools. So it's maybe time to like maybe reevaluate what fighting control looks like. And obviously we're hunting this new Flygon. It's a stage 2, 150 HP. Does decent damage for 2 fighting energy. It's got Cutting Wind that does 130. And of course, it's got a great ability name here. We have Sandy Flapping. So once during your turn when you play this Pokemon from your hand, or when it's knocked out, you can discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. So kind of nifty that it's kind of like on evolution and then also on KO. That's 4 cards from your opponent's deck. So is that good enough to include in a mill deck? I'm not sure. Obviously, some scoop up shenanigans could maybe be in the mix. But you do have this Great Tusk with the Land Collapse attack, which is discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And then if you played an Ancient Supporter, you get to discard 3 more cards. So 4 on that. So you got 2 cards, Great Tusk and Flygon, that could both potentially give you 4 cards off your opponent's deck, plus a lot of other cards that exist just in kind of the control card pool that would let you do the same thing. So just kind of like an idea. I haven't seen anything, but just I know people are going to be excited whenever they see fighting and a mill card and think about this Great Tusk. Like, we're getting closer at least.
Hey, it's another option. It's another addition to Fighting Mill, which I'm excited for others for.
No, yeah, not for myself. For you guys, try it out and let me know. I will not be playing against you, though. I like to play with my cards in my hand.
In my hand.
Not in the discard pile.
Yeah, not in the discard pile. We got Gliscor, stage 120 HP. Has a pretty decent attack for one fighting. Poison Ring does 50 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poison. And during your opponent's next turn, that Pokemon cannot retreat. So it's kind of, as you mentioned earlier, kind of like fighting control-y to a point where you can drag something up to the active, keep it there, and now it's poisoned. It has 50 damage on it, but then you have other things to kind of make the poison, kind of hit a little bit harder depending on, what we have going on there. But, another low-cost attacker for fighting, which is super helpful for fighting. Because fighting, although it got a little bit better, still is resource heavy and trying to find, energy and energy acceleration. It's not as good as some other decks potentially right now, but it is getting there, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And, fighting has maybe silently, maybe out loud, I don't even know, but it's kind of got some cool poison cards going for it. This Gliscor kind of does those two things. Not only does it poison, but obviously stopping your opponent from retreating is really cool on a card. And then we've had the Glamora, which I know a lot of people have been trying to make work. 1 energy, it does, 6 damage counters for poison instead of 1. And then you've got just Toxicroaks that kind of all have some sort of poison synergy. Basically, the only 3 poison fighting cards you're going to find are Glamoras, Toxicroaks, and Gliscors. And you got to kind of figure out how they kind of fit together. But again, it's just another piece to a puzzle that maybe we'll someday see. Will we get a Galarian type-esque card, a Galarian Wheezing type card for a poison fighting deck? That would kind of push it to a point to where it's playable, because that card's just so important for those poison dark decks. But we're getting closer, and this Gliscor is definitely a claw in the right direction.
I actually think this Toxicroak is kind of cool.
I think so too.
I really think it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Again, I just
got on something there. I didn't even know this thing was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing either until I typed poison into Cardboard Warriors while I had the fighting tag on. So, yes, I found out about this Toxicroak today.
Really? Yeah, that's kind of cool, because you could just leave, let's say if there is something in the active that can attack, this Toxicroak kind of enables you to stay in the active and not take any damage if they stay poisoned, and they have to find a way to switch in and out because they can't retreat.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I think you're onto something there.
We'll have to say only time will tell.
I mean, I say that and I'm not going to play it.
That's fine.
We got Toxel, kind of a cool basic for another card that you'll see coming up, but it's 70 HP, which is perfect, and then it has a call for family. Any deck that has a call for family basic is just so good. It's so helpful in the starts. Whenever your early game, you don't have really any searchables in your hand, but you got an energy and a call for family, boom. You can call for some basics, put them on your bench, and then just call it a day. Hopefully you find what you need on the next turn, or maybe you have it in your hand already, but call for family is always such a clutch attack for a lot of decks that have it available to them.
Yeah, for sure. And it only gets better when your setup basic evolves into something that is really great for your deck and your type. And that's what we got with the next card.
Yep. We got Toxtricity, stage 1, 140 HP again. I love that HP count. Super helpful. But it has the ability Sinister Surge. We're not even going to look at the attack, because the attack isn't necessarily what we're looking for here. the ability is really, really good. Once during your turn, you may use this ability, search your deck for a basic dark energy card and attach it to one of your basic or one of your benched dark Pokemon. It doesn't have to be a basic, just one of your benched dark Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck. If you attach energy in this way, place 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So you see right there with a Spiritomb, with the Spiritomb, the more damage counters it has on there, the harder it's going to be able to hit with its Anguish Cry attack, which only is 1 energy that it has to take. So, I mean, you don't even have to necessarily have that rainbow energy to get it started anymore, because you're going to be able to get those damage counters on there straight with this Toxtricity. And that's just better energy acceleration again coming up. Because Guzzlord, whenever we had those double energies, get banned, Guzzlord in the dark energy deck or the dark deck just kind of started to fall off a little bit. It relied a little too heavily on those double energies, because there's a lot of attacks that require, double colorless or just needing that energy, that double attachment for that turn. So now we've got this guy, and this guy's going to be able to help, bump up the dark deck quite a bit. I'm excited to see it, in action, although it comes with that 2 damage counter, condition to put it on there. I don't think it's going to mess with it too much. I think it'll do exactly what it needs to and just put you in a better position than you previously could after the ban.
Yeah, I think you said it all. I mean, it's just so good to have, decent energy acceleration. It's not a stage 2 because, there is a Hydreigon that, lets you attach as much dark energy. I think Dark Squall or something is the name of the ability, where you can attach as much dark energy from your hand to your Pokemon as you like. But, getting a stage 2 into play and a type that's only real consistency is a discard 1, draw 2. Now, you might see the Golbat with a discrete draw 2 every now and then. But, just like that just wasn't cutting it. And now Toxtricity gives you another angle. You don't necessarily need to always be finding that energy. So many dark attackers are just 1 energy here or 1 energy there. And this lets you kind of set up multiple attackers in the same turn. Spiritomb needs an energy. Weavile needs an energy. You can kind of put yourself in a good spot now to make sure you're consistently trading, cards like the Nuzlocke that require, 1 energy for its Mind Jack, but then it needs 3 energy for its Copycat attack. All of a sudden, that stuff becomes more feasible. There's a Mavistiff that has a pretty decent attack and ability. There's the Swallet that requires, to have more energy than the opponent's active to do 170 damage. And all of a sudden, this Toxtricity is kind of playing into all these good things that Dark does. I think this card is really good. I think it's going to power up Dark so much. And I think that Dark is still probably going to languish right around the mid tier. It's still not as
still needs a little bit more
point.
coming back, but yeah, it's definitely not going to bump it up like 3 or 4 tiers. It'll probably just keep it,
but
upper B, I think.
It does still let you do what we all wanted from Dark in the past. We had those B string turns, and before it was play B string, double energy. So now you can play B string, Toxtricity, and you just need 1 more energy to get 4 in 1 turn. So it makes that single turn Guzzlord power up turn a lot more achievable than it had been before. That's good.
Yeah, and I like that it lets you search from the deck as well. It acts as a deck thinner.
Yep.
I like that. Speaking of low profile, you've heard of revenge attackers on a basic. Well, now even stage 1, but now I've never heard of it before, but we got stage 2 revenge attacker now, which is kind of crazy. Vengeful Fang on this Crocodile, 60 plus 160 more damage if your opponent, knocked out a Pokemon previously. That's kind of hefty, ain't it, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, 220 for 1 energy, pretty good. Obviously, you don't want that sort of thing on a stage 2. And a 170 is like reasonable bulk, but obviously we talked about how Snorlax just comes in and pumps your stage 2 into the dirt, right? So,
that's crazy.
Right. So, Crocodile, Cool card. I think if you really like Crocodile, this is a very playable one.
Uh huh.
It's hard. It's just so hard to justify stage 2 attackers, and they usually have to be stage 2s with just busted abilities. So I want this Crocodile to be good. It's one of the reasons why we include it on the list. Is it is kind of cool. It's kind of neat. But at the end of the day, you like Crocodile, play it. You don't, probably staying home.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Like a lot of this advice or the things that we talk about on here is like it might not be the most optimal for a deck, but if you like it, play it, man. Always play it.
Yeah, play for fun,
Always
dude.
play it if you like it.
It's a game. A lot of people forget that. This is a card game. We should enjoy it.
Yep,
Uh,
always enjoying it. We got Honchkrow, 130 HP, stage 1. And it looks a little familiar. We have Snipe Feather, 2 Dark, 1 Colorless. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to all. To all. Oh my goodness, could you imagine? To one of your opponent's Pokemon. So, it kind of has the same attack as Galarian Articuno. Galarian Articuno might be a little bit more efficient because of the pool of cards that it has available to it. But Honchkrow or Dark didn't necessarily have that available. So it's just another option for Dark and its spread to be able to get 120 damage off somewhere, somehow. And with the availability of Toxtricity being able to help kind of get things going, it makes it a little bit more viable. But 120 snap is always pretty good. And in this case, you're only getting rid of 2 energy if it can survive, the next turn from your opponent.
yeah, or really, it works with reversal, right? Like that's kind of
Yeah,
the
that
cool
too.
thing about Honchkrow is because it is an evolution, which we often see as a downside, is because it requires a little less deck consistency. Just the basic decks be doing so much these days. But obviously, reversal does work really well with Honchkrow in this situation. Of course, only having to discard 1, charge it up in 1 hit, 120 somewhere, take a prize, maybe go even or level on prizes, and then you just figure it out from there, right? The best thing Galarian Articuno has going for it is it charges itself up, right? Like you just put on the bench, attach the 2 energy. You just need 1 more from hand or a Malamar or Dimension Value in play, and all of a sudden it's doing the thing. So obviously it's just so hard to compare with the card pool that Psychic has to offer. But hey, look, if you want bargain bin Galarian Articuno, Dark, you're getting
Dark
Honchkrow.
has it. Dark has it, baby. Right there. Then we got Weavile. Weavile, um, we have a Weavile in the past, 90 HP, evil admission for 1 energy, super efficient, helps you take out some big chunky Pokemon that have, high HP, that have an ability, so it's super cool. But this one right here, we have Weavile, also 90 HP, Claws of Retribution for 2 Dark, 20 plus. If this Pokemon has 50 HP or less, this attack does 170 more damage. So 190 for 2 is awesome. And it does have synergy with the new Toxtricity coming out. So you can just kind of get a Sneasel on the bench, put an energy on there next turn, put an energy on there with the Toxtricity, of course, and you are there, right? You're there hitting for your 190. But at that point, is the game set up to where you need that? Is it going to be set up for you perfectly every time? No. Part of the time, maybe. But I think the Weavile that we already have is just better already. Because you can hit for if you're playing against like a water deck, right? And water relies heavily on abilities. They've got 4 abilities. That's 200 for 1, as opposed to 190 for 2, and you're damaged. So it really depends on if you're one of those type of players that likes to take damage, per se. If you're playing Toxtricity, you're going to be playing Spiritomb, you're going to be playing Weavile. You might actually be a damage yourself type of deck to hit harder, and you might recycle them a little bit. But, how often is that going to be doable with this specific Weavile?
Yeah. It's always a dangerous game when you're damaging yourself, and You don't have a bench barrier. Witch Dark, you do not have a bench barrier. So something to think about if you're considering this Weavile. But of course, at the same time, you know what people love, Josh? Hustle belt shenanigans. I mean, there's
That's
nothing better than a hustle belt shenanigan. You know, attach that hustle belt to your Spiritomb. It's something that people have been doing, since, Spiritomb has been in Gym Leader Challenge. So, hey, look, you just have another wear of the hustle belt here, potentially with the Weavile. But yeah, it's just evil admonition, 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability for 1 energy. It's just really, really, really hard to get away from how good that card can be. So this Weavile is cool and all, but it's just not usurping the king Weavile.
Yeah, and I think decks nowadays are I feel like there's less and less decks that don't rely on abilities. Like there's more decks in the format right now than ever that just ability almost on everything, doing something.
Yeah, I mean, even fighting now, right? When you think about fighting,
Yeah.
Okidogi, the Soul Rock, or whichever rock. I'm never even sure which rock it is.
Lunatone.
They got the Weavile potentially, or not the Weavile, the Halucha with the abilities. There's just a lot of things that you can, sneakily hit with the Weavile. So it's just such a good card.
Yeah, I think the Weavile might be the better call, but again, if you're into damaging yourself to hit harder, throw this Weavile in there, see if you get anywhere with it.
Yeah. And it's a shiny new toy.
Yeah, new toy. Speaking of new toys, we got a new bridge. Archaludon, 180 HP, same as before. No ability, but it has this kind of cool attack for 3 metal. Has coded attack 120 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon can't be damaged by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. So, basics are low profile or more basic decks are coming into the format. And if you're in a basic heavy format and you foresee playing against a bunch of basics, this Archaludon might be something you might consider being played in your metal deck going forward. And it's not, I think the old Archaludon is just really good as well because it has 160 damage, has the metal bridge ability, has 0 retreat cost to any of your Pokemon that have metal energy attached. So it's so helpful in that regard as being both a supporter, a defender, tanky Pokemon, but also 160 damage is a good amount of damage. But Archaludon, this new one, has the sweetest art ever. Oh my goodness, I just noticed. He's about to create the strongest bridge in the universe. He's about to bridge the universes together here. But coded attack is 120. You're not hitting that far, like that much at all. And if they already have a loaded basic, well, actually, you're not taking damage from it. So, it might be pretty good. Against basics, you might auto win. Against anything else, you might not auto win, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you think about, Dragon and then this new fighting deck that's emerging, right? Is kind of like the 2 go-tos for what you're playing against. So if your meta is heavy in those really good competitive decks, something to think about. Obviously, this card becomes popular, people are just going to start slamming, Crisis Muscles Machamp that does 200 damage for 2 energy back into their fighting deck. So it's definitely one of those things that's really dependent on the matchups you expect. So I think it's a cool card to have in the card pool, just kind of sitting in the I'm going to get them this week sort of card. It's like your Kirums and Dragon, right? They've been playing too many Culverses. I'm going to get them, So
yeah.
keep it, buy one. Keep it in your binder, and then, oh, hey, I see that they got Dragon fighting over there. Sweet. Bring it in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I think it's more of in a competitive environment, it's more of a medical card overall. But overall, if you want something that's always going to be helpful, the Archaludon previously is going to be the better call.
Yeah, I love Metal Bridge Archaludon. That's one of my favorite cards. So it would be hard for me to swap it out, but I do like winning too, so maybe the other Archaludon will show up every now and then.
Yeah, not bad. moving on to trainers, though. We are finally in the trainers. My favorite segment of set reviews, or sometimes I'll just go straight to the trainers. Yeah, trainers elevate almost every deck all the time. There are times whenever it doesn't elevate it, and this example, Grimsley's move is just strictly for dark. But you have all sorts of different trainers that elevate, the GLC as a whole, which is always super cool. It's always fun to have a splashable new staple come out and be really cool. I love it.
Dude,
but right here,
on that note, I mean, Lily's Determination.
Oh man,
dude,
yes.
That card is straight bonkers. Like, it's such a good card. Like, I'm so happy that card got printed, because if there's ever a card that, just lets us play the game more, like getting an extra 8 looks into your hand while you still have 6 prizes is just huge. Like, I've found myself just going Roserade into Lily's Determination, just like to see more cards and get set up. So, kudos. It seems like Pokemon has kind of been on this trend of like trying to print these cards that really get like setup decks involved recently. Again, I know we're in the era of big basics and Gym Leader Challenge, but like Fan Rotom is a card to look at in that degree, and now Lily's Determination. So when you talk about elevating, I mean, that's the first card that popped into my head. Lily's Determination. Yeah. Absolutely bonkers. Well, absolutely busted.
Like right now in standard format, everything's kind of moved from, there are still big basic decks in the format, but they've been trying to push for the last few years more evolution heavy decks. So that inadvertently, like indirectly helped GLC with a bunch of these new staple cards that have been coming out, because they're trying to focus on more evolution based decks. And I think it's just been like perfect, actually.
No, just make them have more HP. Right, yes. What Ben was saying last time we had him on, give him more HP, buddy.
Yeah, like better stage 2s is what we need.
Exactly,
better stage 2s. But we got Grimsley's move. That's kind of hard to say. I don't know why, but new supporter. We got, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put a dark Pokemon you find there onto your bench, which, pretty cool. I don't mind it. There's some cool things that if they work out well, you can get away with. Shuffle the other cards and put them on the bottom of your deck. You can't use that during your first turn. So if it's your first turn going second, you can't use it, which kind of stinks, but it's not uncalled for. It makes perfect sense, because that's kind of like a little bit too cheaty, in my eye. But it gives you access to cards if you want to throw in some stuff. Some 1-ups possibly. I don't know. Is there anything? There is like Sophromaniac and Malo to kind of stack things, but you can't play 2 supporters.
Max Revive is one that you might consider. Max Revive takes a Pokemon from your discard pile and puts it on top of your deck.
Puts it on top. Okay.
So that lets you Grimsley's. Yeah. I think there's one card. It used to get played in Turbo Colorless. It's like some sort of Pokedex card or something like that, but it lets you look at the top 5 cards, and then you can pick one and put it on top. Again, that's going to dig you as deep as Grimsley's, so maybe not as much there. But there's probably some more shenanigans. Probably got to look into it, but I think Max Revive and then the Mallow and other stuff shenanigans is probably what you're getting onto it. I think what I'm more excited about is, how many times are you just going to rip this card and pray? Like, I hope there's something good there. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, just use it, and hopefully every Pokemon you put in the deck is available to you to choose from.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the other really cool things is it brings a lot of like these super, like, I would say powerful cards that Dark has had, but hasn't had access to because the pre-evolutions aren't Dark. So like this new Tyranitar, which I think might have been a little bit behind the thought process of why you can't Grimsley's on your first turn, because having this Tyranitar on the bench on turn 1 where you can't, or even in the active spot where your opponent can't play item cards, and it's doing 150 for 2 energy is kind of nutty. So that Tyranitar is real good. Expect to see people trying to put it into play with Grimsleys. And then there's the Samurai, which has got some much needed draw. Lets you discard a card to draw 3 cards, and then has a pretty good attack that's 60 plus 20 more for each energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So, there's that too. And obviously there are stage 2s that we haven't really seen play in Dark that maybe Grimsley kind of opens up, because now you can get a little bit more consistency. I mean, just imagine having, the stage 1 set up, Grimsley into the stage 2. They knock out your stage 2. You just Night Stretcher it back into play the next turn. It just opens up a lot of doors that, necessarily weren't available to us before. And you add in, Phantom transformations or Work, and all of a sudden you've got kind of like a really cool recycling deck potentially that can just put Pokemon into play randomly, which is nifty and cool.
Hey, you know what else you can play? Umbreon.
EV lovers unite! We can put the Revenge Umbreon, and there's like a 60 snipe Umbreon into play.
Put it in there.
Which you could have done with. You could have done it with the Phantom transformations or Work, right? Because it's a stage 1. So we could have been doing it, but now you can do it.
I think actually maybe somebody's already tried that, but now you can do it more.
Yeah. Is it good? I don't know. All the evolutions are kind of bad, but you can if you want to.
Hey, Psychic got something else again.
Oh, did it now? Huh. Yeah. I bet it's bad. All Psychic cards are bad.
Yeah, it's a Wondrous Patch. It's Malamar on an item card.
Yeah.
So just like Dark Patch, just like Aqua Patch, just like Metal Saucer, you have the ability to take a basic energy card from your discard and put it onto one of your Pokemon on the bench. Super cool, super rad.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets easier to attack with 3 energy attackers and Psychic. So, I mean, what's more to say? Wondrous Patch is an auto-include in every Psychic list from now on. It's just a great card to have. You got Malamar, you got Xatu, you got Dimension Value, you got Wondrous Patch. Now you've got a slew of 3 energy and 2 energy attackers. Yeah, I mean, it's just good. It's got everything now.
Do you, what do you cut? There's so many good things in Psychic.
I mean...
It's crazy.
What's the worst card in Psychic? I mean, there's not really a worst card in Psychic. That's kind of the downside. I mean,
yeah,
you just cut your worst draw supporter. I mean, do you even need to draw cards when you're just?
Do you take one? Do you take like Xatu out or keep Xatu in?
Nah, you gotta have that redundancy. I mean, just imagine Xatu
take out a basic energy.
Nah, you got maybe. I don't know. It's tough. I'll have to look at the list, but I mean, you got to play Wondrous Patch. There's no way you don't. And I mean, even like Psychic Lost Zone, which is a deck that's like notorious for, being kind of, it's got a couple of spots here and there. It's kind of a tight list, but it does have some flex spots. I think even they would probably be like, what can I cut for a Wondrous Patch and play it in there? So it's just the card. It's going to see play in every Psychic list.
It's a good card. I like it. Any patch card is usually played.
Free energy, right? I mean, think about that. I mean, again, going back to this Garbodor deck, right? Like you've shut off your Malamar, you shut off your Xatu with your Garbodor. You still need to get free energy into play. I mean, you got potential to get like Wondrous Patch, Attach Energy, Dimension Valley, good shoes.
Super good.
Yeah,
super good.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. Hey, did you know that whales love ice cream?
What?
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Whales love the ice cream. It's even called jumbo ice cream for the jumbo-sized Wailord. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Heal 80 damage from your active Pokemon that has 3 or more energy attached. When you're playing Cetian, when you're playing Wailord, you're always going to have that 3 energy requirement. Free 80 damage on an item heal. It's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, and
I hope they print it. Oh man, I hope they print a full art of this jumbo ice cream. It would look beautiful.
It'd be cool to see, like, instead of just one flavor, too, like maybe like a stand of all the different jumbo ice cream flavors, and that'd be the full art. with lots of different Pokemon enjoying it. One of them being Wailord. How does a Wailord eat ice cream? Thinking back to it, how
Hey,
big
I've been
is
thinking
this
about it.
ice cream?
It's jumbo.
I mean, it is jumbo, but like we just have like a mystic swirl background. There's no indicator of how big it is.
Well, we can only take from the definitions of what we've saw in the past. And Wailord, according to its ability, is jumbo sized.
All right.
Therefore, this jumbo ice cream is the actual size of a Wailord. The only place it can fit is the ocean, and that's why it's blue.
I mean, your logic. I mean, earlier you couldn't do math, and now you're trying to logic your way out of this one. So I don't even know who to believe anymore. but one thing to note about this card is that besides being really good with Wailord, you'll notice it's also pretty good with the Snorlaxes, both of them, right? Both require 3 energy. Obviously, unfazed fat Snorlax, is a hefty boy. Healing 80 from it's fine. But Hops Snorlax, as long as you don't have the Hops tool and you have the 3 energy on it, does damage to itself. Jumbo Ice Cream lets you kind of get around that without having to play like Protection Cube or something like that. So that's kind of a cool thought there. And of course, having this on an item card is kind of nutty because, we have Malolana and Rough Seas. I think there's even a supporter that's called Cook, which just heals 70, right? And Jumbo Ice Cream is just like, cool, I heal from the active, and it has to have 3 or more energy. But that's like not really crazy when you think about it in Jumbo Challenge. So I do expect this card to see play in some tanky Wailord decks.
Yep, I'm excited for it. Next up, we got Blowtorch. You can use this card only if you discard a basic fire energy card from your hand, discard a Pokemon tool or special energy card from your opponent's Pokemon or a stadium in play. We have Enhanced Hammer, which sees a lot of play. Enhanced Hammer is just a really good card. It's not necessarily an auto include in every deck, but whenever you're considering, any special energy removal, Enhanced Hammer is always one of the first cards that come to mind. Lost Vacuum is an example of, making your hand smaller, having to get rid of something. Lost Vacuum, you have to loss zone it, but you get to choose a tool or stadium in play and put it into the loss zone. And this right here with the Blowtorch, you can discard a tool or special energy card or a stadium. So it might be a little bit better for fire decks to include than it would a loss zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you look at all that it can do, it's powerful and it's flexible, but it has a condition, right? Discard a basic fire energy. So the good news is a lot of fire decks really like it when there's fire energy in the discard pile. So good news there. The second good thing for all of us is, what the second most played basic energy is in every single deck? It's fire, right? Every Dragon playing fire for Mela. Colorless plays fire with Turbo Energize and all this stuff. So, would it be crazy to play Blowtorch in another deck? I mean, it might be kind of cool, but obviously, where's the best place for any fire energy? Right, the discard pile. So you can mellow it later. So, it'd be kind of fun to see Blowtorch show up in other types besides fire. But for now, like Josh said, I see it being fire only. And I'm not even sure if it's an auto include. I just know it does some very powerful things. And if you're looking to play like a second field blower effect, or if you're considering Enhanced Hammer in your fire list, why not play Blowtorch? Seems good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those ones in my mind that were like, it could see some play, but they're just some more efficient, more splashable cards that you'll see in other decks.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Next up, we got Dawn. I think this is going to be decent. Probably not the best, but search your deck for a basic Pokemon, a stage 1 and a stage 2. Reveal them, put them into your hand. We talked about this previously, Jeff, and I know you're like, what about Ball Guy? And I was like, well, what if you want to grab these? Well, just get Apricorn Maker and get your Ball Search and stuff like that. So that's very convincing as well. But for some reason, I think it's really cool. It might work well with a lush forest play. It might work well in the instance that you are in need of all three of these things, and it might be too costly to grab, an ultra ball, or because nobody plays timer ball. You're not getting that because it says flip 2 coins, put it in your discard pile. You know,
Yeah, I did that today. Right before we get on the pod. Double tails, my timer ball.
I do it anytime I play timer ball. That's about what happens, or maybe I get one. But I think Dawn will be maybe not the most played, but you'll see it from time to time in a deck list or two.
Yeah. And, I when it comes to like my decks and my deck building, one of the things that frustrates me a little bit is when I've got a setup card, but it's a setup card that can't get me going early, So like I look at cards like a Reizu, which is just like get 3 evolution Pokemon. That's a setup card, but it's not helping me get basics to my bench. And that's kind of what I view Dawn is it's like 1/3 of an early setup card that has like, shades of a Reizu kind of sprinkled in. So like I just really would prefer the flexibility of a card like Ball Guy. And then if evolutions are really important, like you're already playing a couple balls, why not just play Apricorn Maker? And now you've got these really super flexible cards that let you, set up and get basics to the bench early, but also could allow you to look up cards like Timer Ball or Level Ball or Ultra Ball to get those evolutions. And if you have a type specific ball, even beyond that, Net Ball lets you get an energy, Dive Ball lets you get any water Pokemon. So I just think that there are more flexible options. And then, anytime you show your opponent cards and you put them in your hand, you know what you've just evoked? You have summoned Marnie, Iono into their hand. Whatever their top of their deck was before, it's switched. It's become a disruption draw supporter. So that's one of the reasons, I have too much hurt behind these eyes for me to play a card like Dawn and to keep evolution stacked in my hand while my opponent's just like, I've got a Marnie waiting for you. Put those on the bottom. That's what I see happening.
What I have to say to that, Jeff, is you're 100% right. That this is Marnie. This is a Marnie, very Marnieable card. Hopefully, when you do use it, you need all 3 of those, and they're usable as soon as you get it. Because maybe you need a basic, but then you need a stage 1 for a basic that you already had previously, and maybe you are getting a stage 2 for a stage 1 that you had previously, and you can just play all 3, and your opponent's just like, wow, that's perfect. That was perfect setup.
Yeah, I'm just picturing every single time you play just having this dream ladder on your bit. I got my basic, my stage 1, my stage 2. Let's just we're good. One of the cool things to say is like, at worst, if you're playing like Dawn and Water, right? Like you could go get Hisuian Basculin, right? And all of a sudden you can get like 1 basic becomes 3, right? Potentially. So like I see a place for Dawn. It's just not in my deck.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that I'm playing this immediately.
It's all right. Everyone keeps talking up Reizu to me, which is fine. Like, please play Reizu. I love that character from Legends Arceus. I think that the card itself is sweet. I think that the full art's really cool. Everyone's like, dude, you got to play Reizu. It's so good in water. It's so good in water. And then I keep having opening hands where I'm like, man, if Reizu was any other setup supporter right now, I could have a bench with Pokemon, but instead I'll just pass with my Remoraid in the active. Go. So that's
Remoraid, go.
I'm obviously picturing worst case scenario. Best case scenario is, you've got Remoraid and Sobble and, your, whatever your Rain Dancer is, and you're just like, give me all 3 evolutions and let's get going. And it's the perfect card ever. Best case scenario, that card is great. But, plan for the worst and figure it out from there.
Yep, exactly. And speaking of playing for the worst, we got Fire Breather.
This card is your deck for. This card has never heard of the worst. This card is just trying to figure out, like, hey, only sunshine in land when you play this card.
Dude, it's lighting up my life for sure right now. Search your deck for seven basic fire energy cards in your deck and put them into your hand. Very good for Armor Rouge. Very good for Embor. Not Armor Rouge. Silverledge. And very good for Embor. Best card. Best, most impactful card of the set.
Yeah, right here, right? Just like, what are you doing with 7 energy? Like, unless you're just like vomiting it onto the board in that same turn with Embor, which, by the way, is a situation where you have a stage 2 set up and you kind of have a free turn where you can play a supporter to go get you 7 energy. I mean, you're already probably winning that game, right? Like in that exact situation. So it's just like, Fire Breather, like cool idea. I love where your brain was at. Like, yeah, if it's going to be a supporter, it should get a bajillion energy. But like we're playing like 9 or 10 energy. And by the time you're finding Fire Breather to be a decent play, you probably have some on the board. So it's just like you're just emptying out your deck, and now your welder plays are bad.
You're not playing welder.
Not in the deck you're playing a Fire Breather. I guess you're right.
But you're thinning your deck of 20% of the deck, right? And then everything you draw afterwards is going to be perfect because you don't have those pesky energies in there anymore.
Well, yeah, you just play with cargo. Put the right card on top of your deck. You know?
So yeah.
Put an energy each turn.
And that right card is Fire Breather.
That right card is Fire Breather. I'm not denying that there will be a situation where like you're sitting there in the game being like, dang, wish I put Fire Breather in my deck. It'd be so busted right now.
It'd be so good.
But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be standing there and be like, man, I wish this Fire Breather was anything else.
I wish this Fire Breather was on fire.
Oh, man. But it's a cool idea. I want to build around with it now that I've talked so much crap about it. Like, I'm a
card of all time.
It's a card of all time. I mean, now I want to make it work. Now I want to win a tournament with it.
Another card of all time. We got Battle Coliseum. Prevent all damage counters from being placed on bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponents, by the effects of attacks or abilities used by opponent's Pokemon. You'll see. The first thing that comes to my mind is a Psychic Lost Zone or a Psychic deck that puts damage counters on there.
Yeah,
there's other decks that do that. But a lot of the time, unless if it's 100% the meta, competitively speaking, you're probably not going to put Battle Coliseum as a whole stadium to deny one type. And especially in a typing that has 6 different subtypes within it, So I think it's a good card for standard right now, or like especially in times where you're putting a bunch of damage counters on, but probably not for GLC.
Yeah. I think, if ever there was a time when Gym Leader Challenge or Pokemon shifted to having sideboards, which I know will never, ever be a thing, it would be like a cool card to be like, I got it for my rainy day. My opponent's playing Psychic Glass Zone. We good. But, it's just not worth it. Just, if you run into Psychic Glass Zone, just play smart, play optimal, high HP basics, try your best to deny 2-for-1s, and, you can still win those games even without Battle Coliseum. Again, sometimes it's harder to say than it is to do, or easier to say than it is to do. But, Battle Coliseum probably not making it into 99.9999% of decks.
Something that you're excited for, Jeff, is a new trainer deck coming out. It's called Punk Helmet, and it's really good for dark decks. If the dark Pokemon this tool is attached to is in the active spot and damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 4 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So it doesn't have to even be knocked out. It just has to attack, and you're putting 4 damage counters back onto the attacking Pokemon. And that's, has a lot of synergy with dark spread decks.
Yeah. Dark spread, or even Poison Dark, really. Like, you think about like putting your Galarian Weezing up into the active and putting this Punk Helmet. They got to get rid of the Weezing at some point. So why not chip in with some poison damage, chip in with Punk Helmet? I mean, it'd be pretty nasty, right?
I'm going to have to ask you not to do that.
I forgot that you hate Galarian Weezing so much. Uh, but yeah, Punk Helmet, I've been really trying to make Dark Spread work. I know other people have really been trying to make Dark Spread work too, and it's just missing something. It's missing another really good spreader, to be honest, something that does more than 10 or 20 damage. And Punk Helmet can help you to that way, right? Like, again, your basic spreaders are relatively beefy. I mean, when you think about it, like, Evil Tall has like 110, 120 HP, if I'm not mistaken. And then your Absol has like 100. So like those are pretty reasonable numbers for basic. So like a Punk Helmet means they could maybe survive one hit or two hits. But like, combine Punk Helmet with your spread, combine that spread with effects like Old Cemetery or Frozen City that punish your opponents for attaching energies by putting damage counters on their Pokemon, and then maybe come in with a Critical Bite Crobat that lets you take 3 prizes. There's some things in the mix there. So I do think Punk Helmet can be part of a piece, but it's part of a puzzle that, still is being built. And so again, I think 1 or 2 more cards, Dark Spread will be going. Punk Helmet will be a cool thing to attach. And, you look at cards we've had in the past, Vengeful Punch is on KO. We got Spiky Energy that does on damage. You look at Horror Energy that Psychic has that's damage counters on damage. So, like, these cards have been seeing play. I think Punk Helmet can be a good option for Dark decks to have going forward.
Yeah, I think it's perfect for it. I think it's great. It's a good tool, and it's only for Dark. And sometimes it's good for typings to get specific cards that works only for them to help elevate their tiers and levels. But sometimes it really stinks whenever it's just like, Pokemon seemingly loves a certain typing a little bit more, or at least maybe that typing is just not good at GLC just at all, but maybe in a different format.
Yeah.
Which, made it a little thought provoking there.
Well, hey, the pendulum, at least with this set, has shifted. I mean, we're talked about a lot of good Dark cards today.
Yeah.
So
that's really good.
I mean, this isn't one of them, but there were other ones.
Yeah. And then we got Worst Pot Helmet in the form of a Sacred Charm. Sacred Charm is a tool card, and it takes 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability. So just play Pot Helmet.
Yeah. Just play Pot Helmet. Yeah. Sacred Charm. Just play Pot Helmet. But cool to talk about.
Yeah. And that's it. Kind of moving on. We have our little, questions to each other. Most impactful, most played, overhyped, and favorite. Jeff, what do you think is going to be most impactful for this Phantasmal Flame set?
Yeah, so I think that, like the impact that this card's going to have is it's maybe not going to make the type better, but I think it's going to at least draw more people to the type, since many have seemed to kind of abandon it since it saw 0 players at the last Full Grip Games 3K. And so for me, the most impactful card is the new Toxtricity that searches up an energy and attaches it to a Pokemon on your bench, a Dark Pokemon, of course, and does 2 damage counters. I think that card is going to be unique. It's going to open up some doors for Dark that we haven't seen before. Inevitably, again, I think the impact it's going to have is just more people playing it. I don't know if we'll actually see Dark results go up. So the impact is more of a popularity than it is actually results based. But Josh, what about you? What do you see from this set as being most impactful?
Kind of the same thing. Probably more of the, well, it depends. I don't think Wondrous Patch is going to be that much crazier, but just kind of be a little bit different from you so we can get a little bit more diversity in there. Because I think Toxtricity is probably going to be super impactful, especially for Dark. But I think Wondrous Patch is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, and probably pretty decently impactful for the low profile Psychic decks.
Yeah. I mean, and jumping in there, I was going to put Wondrous Patch as most played. We see Psychic continuously being one of the most played types, and I think that Wondrous Patch is an auto include. So for me, that card sticks out as the most played, even though it's only type specific. I mean, so many people play Psychic. It's got to be still up there percentage wise, some of the most played from this set.
Yeah. I mean, you might be right. It might be like a double thing for me. So like, I guess you're right. It's got to, I can't be different. It's got to, most impactful for Dark has to be Toxtricity, and then most played Wondrous Patch. Because looking back on all the stuff, I don't think there's necessarily a most played per se. Maybe, maybe Toxtricity could take that. Maybe Zacian for Psychic could take that. But Wondrous Patch is just a really good card for Psychic. And like you said, there's, I mean, in water decks that have it, metal decks that have it. What's the other one that has it? I guess now Psychic.
Metal Saucer?
Oh, Dark Patch.
Yeah.
Dark has it, I think that, definitely we see it in almost every deck that has it available. So, yeah, I'd have to say most impactful Toxtricity, most played Wondrous Patch.
What you feeling for overhyped, Josh? Oh, you know what we haven't done in a while? We haven't done the we both are going to say the same thing one. I feel like we might say the same one for this one, Josh. You want to do a 1, 2, 3?
We'll do that with yeah, we'll do it. Let me get it in my head right quick.
Okay, all right, you go ahead. I got it right here. I've been thinking about it since we talked about it earlier.
Oh, brother. Okay. Hopefully.
All right, I can do that. Hey, by the way,
hopefully,
if you've made it this far in the video, put down in chat what you think we're gonna say. I believe in us. You ready, Josh? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Grimsleys. Oh, dang. All right. Hey, at least we were different on one. I thought for sure you were gonna say Grimsley, but Genesect is appropriately hyped because I don't think anyone thinks that card's going to be that great.
I have only, I thought Genesect was pretty good whenever I first saw it. And I've been in my own little bubble lately. So I have not seen anybody talk about any of these cards, honestly. So is Grimsley's one of those cards that have been overhyped?
No, I just think that we often look at one card solutions, right? For fixing types. We've always talked about, what does fire need? Fire doesn't need one thing, right? Fire needs a whole reorganization, right? So when you look at what does dark need? Dark doesn't need just one thing, right? It needs, a new multi-prizer that's not Guzzlord, right? That can help it play the catch-up game better. Dark needs, another consistency engine. Does Grimsley fix any of that? Not really. I mean, how many times are you going to be able to max survive a card on top of your deck, or set up a Mallow and then Grimsley the following turn? Games of Gym Leader Challenge just don't quite play up like that. So people have been talking about, Grimsley is a card that they think is going to be cool, and it's definitely got the coolness wow factor to it. The upside is huge, but it's just, we're just going to be playing it and praying, and then we're going to be cool, I got a Zubat. I took the top 7 cards and I found Hoopa. It's not going to be that Tyranitar, or besides that, just sit in your hand and just die as you're trying to play catch up in these games. So, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but for me right now, I do think that Grimsley is the card that's overhyped.
It's kind of like a great ball, but a better greatish ball, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. A good ball. It's a good ball.
Would you consider Dawn to be an overhyped card?
I don't know. I'm so set in my ways that sometimes it's hard to evaluate a card, right? And so I see what setup supporters have felt good and worked for me in the past. And I really value flexibility in the way I go about things. And, people will look at my decks and be like, ball guy, Apricorn Maker together. That's ridiculous. Apricorn Maker is such a bad card. But like, those are things I value in my gameplay. And, Dawn doesn't feel like it really matches with what I see as like my optimal deck, which again, just the flexibility. So it just doesn't give me that same flexibility that other cards do. So do I see it as overhyped? I just don't think I could give it a fair opinion. Josh, do you think it's overhyped?
Well, me liking it to a point and then you being like, no, play Abercorn Maker. So,
I thought I was very cordial with
might
it.
be overhyped.
I thought I was very cordial. Again, and I'll say this, like I've hated on Arezu since day one, but I have been Arezu'd to oblivion. Like I've seen that card do work. So like it's just a situational, and deck specific. You mentioned, Don might be really good in a Forest of Vitality deck. I just don't know like what situation you have like Dawn and Forest of Vitality both in your hand at the same time.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
definitely a thing.
it happens continuously where you're like, this was a good choice. Because like at the same time, Ball Guy, independently powerful, Force of Vitality, independently powerful. Sometimes you get them together and they're bonkers, but they don't need to be together. And that's kind of the difference I see between Dawn, is it needs other things to already be placed for it to perform well. And that's the same thing with Arezu. Whereas like Ball Guy, Apricorn Maker, Gloria, Bridget, Sonia, Brooks, Brock Scouting, all of these other cards just offer a little bit more, but maybe simultaneously like they give you more flexibility while maybe offering you a little bit less in terms of overall power. And I think that that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. All that being said, Jeff, what's your favorite card?
Oh, favorite card is tough, And I
don't
feel like
mind.
I feel like it's a little bit of a cop out here. But you know what card I really, really like? Which is dumb that I like it. I like the Toxel. Not even the Toxtricity. I just like the Toxel. Like I like that they're paired together. I love that it has a call for family into the Toxtricity, which then has a great ability. We just saw the new Purloin too, that it's very similar, right? The 60 HP Purloin that gets 3 dark Pokemon and puts them in either in your hand or the bench. So like these dark setup cards that evolve into something useful in the mid to late game, like it's just so good to see that sort of thing happening. So for me, my favorite card from the set is 70 HP Call for Family Toxel.
Yeah, I like it, but it's not my favorite, Jeff.
No. Is it the Sayur Ledge or whatever you say that? The discard 4220?
Yes, that is my favorite. My favorite.
I knew it.
Cyrilledge.
Knew it.
No. It would melt my favorite card, however.
Ooh.
My favorite card is the Jumbo Ice Cream.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'm so ready for that card. I think it'll be really cool. When will I play it? I don't know. When will I see how good it is? I have no idea. But at some point, we will see how good the ice cream is for the whales. See if they actually like it or not.
Dude, man, I could not imagine like putting all that work to get into a whale and then my opponent just being like, "Oh, hey, bad news, Jumbo ice cream into rough seas. There's no damage on my Willard. Hit you again. Oh, hell,
well, how about this? Picture this.
Picturing.
You hit into a Wailord, and then off in the distance you hear some music. You're like, what is that music? It's vaguely familiar. And then as it gets closer, all you hear is this loud, it gets louder and louder, and sounds like an ice cream truck. And they're on their way. And then out of nowhere, your opponent looks up. He takes the card and slaps it down. And it's a Jumbo ice cream. That's the thing out of nightmares.
I don't know, dude. I like ice cream and I like whales. I mean, that sounds like a fun afternoon right there.
That sounds like the best dream I've ever had.
Oh, man. We need to play sometime, Josh. We need to set up a webcam match and play each other. Just so I can see your whales again. Show me your whales.
Yes, I agree. I agree, man. All right. Well, that concludes today's set review for Phantasmal Flames. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, again, send us a like. Let us know down in the comments what your favorite card, overhyped card, what you think is going to be most impactful. This is, Joshua, and this is my friend Jeff, my co-host, my buddy. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you guys enjoy Phantasmal Flames.